everybody, welcome back to homerecordingmadeeasy.com and here on the YouTube channel. And this time out, we are on now part 3 of 4 of our Solid State Logic UF1 series of videos. If you did not see parts 1 and 2, click the playlist in the description box below. It'll take you out to see the first 2 parts of the series for this piece of gear, as well as the Solid State Logic UC1 and the UF8, all in the playlist in the description box below. In this video, we're going to kind of pick up where we left off in part 2. Going to show you some more cool controls, things that you might find useful when using Studio One or any DAW for that matter. We're going to talk about the send levels. We're going to talk about plugin control and mapping plugin parameters. We're going to talk about a couple other soft keys and some of the functions, and then we're going to also talk about the metering plugin as well. So that's what we're going to do. So before we get started, like, share, subscribe. First time here, second time here, third time here, go to homerecordingmadeeasy.com. If you have not got that free mixing course, I want to give you a $100 mixing course. Right on the homepage, you'll see a big orange button. It says download course here. Click it, download it today, no strings attached. And if you stick around to the end of the video, I'm going to give you something else for free. So thanks for visiting Home Recording Made Easy. Okay, before we get started, I want to say at the top of the video, like always, got to thank my good buddies over at Sweetwater for sending me this UF1 so I could bring these series of videos to you. But they don't pay me for the video. They don't get a chance to see what I'm going to say. They don't dictate what I'm going to say. And if you know Uncle Dave at all, I tell you the real deal. I'm not selling you this thing. I don't care whether you buy it or not. If you want to buy it, the link will be in the description box below. Out to my Sweetwater affiliate link. Thank you so much in advance. But I also will tell you what I like and dislike about this product, and that will be in part 4. So you know that Uncle Dave gives it to you straight. But thank you so much, Sweetwater, for sending it to me so I could bring this video or series of videos to all of my subscribers. I really do appreciate it. I love Sweetwater. Make sure you check the links in the description box below. So let's get moving. First thing I want to show you is send levels and how you can control the send levels. We talked a little bit about that in part 1 or part 2, but in part 3, I'm going to go a little bit deeper. So if you see here in Studio One on our kick track here and our snare, our 2 kick tracks and our snare tracks, tracks 1, tracks 2, track 3, I've added some sends here, okay? So we can do this in a couple of different ways. First thing you want to do is make sure that your channel selector is on the track that you want to control, kick in, make sure we hit our select button here like we did. And now we're going to come up to the top and we're going to hit the send button here, soft key number 1. And you're going to see what's going to happen on the display here. It's going to change to the SC or send level. And you'll see across these 3 encoders, these 3 VPOTs as they call them, you'll see these are the 3 sends on channel 1, a delay, a room, and a hall. And we can twist those and you'll see in Studio One that I'm controlling the send level. See that on track 1? Okay. So that's how you do that. Now, if you want to control, let's say, different effects across different tracks with the same set of VPOTs, all you have to do is hit the send button again. And now you're going to see S1, which is the first send slot across however many sends you have on however many tracks. In this case, we have 3. So here's a delay for track 1. Here's the send level for the delay on track 2. Here is the send level for delay on track 3. Check that out, okay? If I hit the send button again, it's going to go to send level number 2. We have the room reverb on track 1 and the hall reverb on track 2. If I hit it one more time, we're going to go to send slot number 3. And in this example, I only have it on the kick track. But if I added it, let's say, to the next 2 tracks, you will see it pop up on the display. Oops. And there they are. So now I'm controlling the 3rd slot on all those tracks. See that? So that's really convenient and handy. And it's labeled here. And it also has the value here underneath it, even though you may not be able to see it too well in the camera angle. But it's there, trust me. Okay? That's how we hit, that's our sends. Next thing I want to show you is plugin mapping. So if you remember, back to last video, part 2, how do we open and close a plugin on our track? We hit the soft key down here, number 2. That's going to open up a plugin. And here it is, the compressor. Now let's say we want to map some of these controls to our encoders down here. We can easily do that. First thing we want to do is come up to the top here, our soft key, hit the plugin. Okay, that's the first thing we want to do to put us into plugin mode. And you'll see the display changes to the letter PL for plugin, I guess. On the plugin itself in Studio One, we got to make sure we do something, a couple of things. First thing we want to do is if this little cogwheel is not lit up blue, it's gray, light up blue, you're going to see a couple of dialog boxes here with drop-down arrows. The first thing you want to do is come over here and you want to make sure that this says recently touched is checked off, and that you want to make sure this says control. And when you see control, you're going to see a box pop up here, okay? And this is going to give us the ability to go ahead, and it's going to let us map some of the controls. You'll see we're looking at the compressor on the kick-in inserts, and that's what this plugin is. So let's say we want to take our attack time, and we want to send that over here to this encoder. We're going to take our mouse, we're going to left click here. Oh, we got to make sure recently touched is what we want. There we go. Okay, and you'll see attack comes up here, and you see this little hand. We're going to left click this little hand, we're going to drag it down to the first encoder. And now you'll see on the screen it says attack. And if I turn that knob, it will do the attack. See how that works? Okay, once again, in case you missed it, you need to make sure here, drop down arrow, that the recently touched is checked off. If it's checked off and it doesn't seem to work, uncheck it and recheck it, and that will reset that if you have a little bit of a bug there going on. Then we're going to come over to, let's see, our release. And you'll see when we hover our mouse over and change the release, it changes up here next to the little hand. Then take that little hand, left click, and drag it down here. So now we have the attack and the release. Let's say we want to do the threshold next. Control the threshold, take the little hand, drop it down, and now we have that here. Okay? Now, you should only have to map these one time. You do this once. If you put this plugin on any other track, or if you close the session, close Studio One, reopen it again, it'll always stay mapped to your UF1. And I'll show that to you right now. So I'm going to take this compressor off this track, remove, and then we're going to add it to another track here. Let's go back to PreSonus. Let's get our compressor. Here it is. I'll go ahead and I'll put it up here again. And as soon as I did that, you see that the names pop back up on the screen. Here we go. So you can see that these three parameters, attack, release, and threshold, are all still mapped to the plugin. So what's great about this is you can map your controls and you only have to do it one time. And you can have up to 8 parameters. So that was 1 through 4. We have 4 encoders here. If you want to get to the next set of parameters, let's say you have 8 parameters that you want to map, you just hit the 5 through 8 button and you do it down here. Okay. Now, once we put this new instance here, if we want to get that little dialog box underneath it, what do we have to do? If we want to map more controls, we got to hit the cog wheel, right? Got to come over here, recently touched, control, and this pops back up again. Okay. So let's say I want to put 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Let's do the ratio next. We'll take the ratio. We'll put that on number 4. Now let's do one for number 5. Let's take the knee setting and let's put that on encoder number 5. So I can show you that if I go 5 to 8, there's the knee setting right there. See that? Okay. Hit the button again. This will show us the first 4. 5 through 8 will show us 5 through 8. Okay. So that's how you map plugins. Really quick, really simple. You only need to do it one time. Really, really cool, but you are limited to those 8 parameters, but 8 is usually enough for most plugins. Okay. The next thing I want to show you, if we come back over here, hit pan, if we come, I believe it's over to page 2 of our soft keys, and we move the pages by these 2 arrows here, we want to go to the track soft key. If I hit track, what's going to happen here, it's going to give us some things that we can do for the track that's selected. We can either bypass all of our inserts, and again, we're on track 1 right now, so if I were to turn this encoder, you'll see in Studio One, the power buttons turn off for all of the 3 plugins in the insert slot. See that? We can also turn the monitor on. If we were doing some recording, we can turn our little monitor speaker on. See that on the channel? We can also change the input. So if we have an interface with several different inputs, set up, we can make sure our recording input is set. And then we can also change the output. Where do we want to route this track? This one's routed to the drum bus, but as you can see, if you're looking at Studio One, at track 1, you can see I could change the input to whatever I want. And then once again, if we go over to 5 through 8, we have send bypass 1, send bypass 2, 3, and 4. So if I go to send bypass 1, I can go ahead and I can turn off that delay. See the power button? It's up here by my cursor. Check the blue power buttons. Here's the second one. Here's the third one. Okay, so you have 8 encoders that can do all of those things, which is really cool. If we go back to 1 through 4, we can do that. So selected track, whatever track you have selected, hit the track button and soft key, and you'll have all those different options. Again, these are all pre-mapped as part of the Studio One mapping that came with your UF1. But if you remember in the last video, we have 40 soft keys, and we can program them to do whatever we want via the 360 software. Go watch part 2 if you haven't seen that. You don't have to have track on page 2. You can have track be the very first one here on our first page. I just happen to have it as send, but you can program these 40 soft keys to anything you want. So if you don't want to use track, you don't have to, but I just wanted to show that to you because I think that's kind of handy. The next thing I want to show you is fader mode here. So in Studio One, if we come over to our mode button, right now we're in pan. If we hit it again and we are in fader, you'll see here that we have our tracks that come up here, and these will control our faders. Kick in our track 1, track 2, track 3, track 4. We could go track 5, 6, 7, and 8. So all of our faders can be controlled from these encoders, the first 8 encoders. That's what that does, which is kind of neat if you like it. If you press down on it, it will bring it to Unity. So it'll bring, let's just, right here. Oh no, that'll select the track by pressing it on the encoder. You can select the track by doing that. See that? And then you can control the fader like this. And you can, if you select and hit our select button, it'll also bring it here on the master fader, right? So if I come over here and I select that, there we go. So there you go. So that's fader mode. Again, it's just a different way of working depending on if you like to work in that mode. I'm not really too hip on the fader mode bank myself. I don't know that I would be twisting knobs here to control faders. I would probably be using my channel select and bringing them all to the fader, but it all depends on how you like to work. That's just another way to do it. Last thing I want to show you in this video is the meter mode. So again, if we press fader mode and we press it again, now we are going to go into the meter mode. And right now you'll see that there's none connected. You have to have the meter plugin, which comes for free with this UF1. You'll download that when you register your product. We're going to put it on our master bus here in Studio One. So let me do that. So we're going to come over here, and first thing I want to do is move my UF1 out of the way here so you can see the browser. And it'll be under our SSL folder, SSL meter. Okay. Now when I bring the meter up here, watch what happens on the UF1. Okay. So the meter is going to pop up, and then we're going to get our plugin window here as well. Okay. So I'm going to leave this over here out of the way so you can see it. Okay, so what this does is, so if you don't, what's great about this meter mode here on the UF1 is you don't need to have this plugin window open to check your meters. You can have this closed. If I just hit play, for example, you'll see the meters work on both the UF1 and the meter plugin, but you can have this closed if you like. If you don't want to have this open on your screen and taking up too much real estate, although you can see everything from the correlation meters to the input meters to the VU meters to the real-time analyzer all in one plugin. But if you just want to see it on the screen, you can do that, and you don't have to have it here open on your screen, taking up your real estate, if that makes any sense. So if I were to, let me just turn this down here like so. If I hit play here, okay, so you're going to see the meters are working here. And across the top here, it says overview, reset, find, and presets. So you can dive into the manual and learn all about that if you want, but it gives you some really cool stuff here. If I hit the overview again, it's going to go to the VU meters. I know it's blown out here on the imagery on the camera, but trust me when I tell you, it looks just like these VU meters. Okay, so these two VU meters are right here on the display. Okay. And if I hit it again, I can go to the real-time analyzer. Again, sorry for the brightness blowing out the screen. Or I can go back to the correlation phase meter if you wanted to. So that's a pretty cool thing. And that's something extremely unique that nobody else on any of these other kind of single fader controllers by any of the companies have. It's got a really nice, that's a really nice feature to have that. The metering is super important. There's a lot of great information on the meters. that you can check out, and it's handy to not have to have it open on the screen. To be able to look at it on your display is very helpful. The other thing it will do is it'll also show up in the 360 software. So if you're using something like a UF8, let me demonstrate that to you now. Let me open this up and let me come over to our mixer. We don't have any devices connected. I don't have a UF8 here, but you see, if I come over here to my mixer, let me move myself out of the way. You'll see that meter plugin is now at the top left-hand, or excuse me, top right-hand corner. So again, if I hit play, and just like before, we can switch the view right here, and it'll also switch on our UF1 at the same time. And we can reset it. Okay, so if you're working inside the 360 software, especially if you're using a UF8 and a UC1, which I've done other videos on, again, check the link in the description box below, you could do everything right from the 360 software, and now you have a beautiful meter plugin as well. If you don't want to work inside the 360 software, no problem. You can just put the meter on your master bus, or you could put it on any one of your channels, but typically you'd put this on the master bus, right? That's where you would typically put it, okay? And that is our meter and how we kind of do that. So let me move everything and get everything back over the way it was oriented before. There we go. Okay, so that is the final look at some of the things that you can do here with the UF1. Again, go back and watch parts 2 and then this one 3. In 2, I walked you through all the basic controls. There's a lot to this box. It is very, very powerful. And if you get out the manual and read it, which I have not done, everything that you've seen in these 3 videos that we've done so far has been right on the fly. I've been learning as I'm going, hitting a couple of buttons, going, okay, that's how that works, turn on the camera and go. So you can expect that when you get this in your hands for the first time, that your experience ought to be very similar to what you saw in these last 2 videos, because I didn't have to read the manual, look at any videos to figure this stuff out. It's pretty intuitive. Now, some of this is because I also did reviews on the UF8, and the UF8, the functionality of this is very similar in the UF8. This is like a little mini UF8. A lot of the soft keys, a lot aside from the metering, because that wasn't available at that time, but the way the V-pots work, the banking, the cursors, all that stuff, transport, it all works exactly the same on the UF8. So if you have a UF8, this will even be more familiar to you. If you've never used a UF8, it's still pretty simple. You shouldn't have to break out the manual for much unless you want to get under the hood and get into a little bit more of the finer detail. Then you would want to break out the manual and check that out. So I want to thank you so much for watching part 3 here. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, because part 4, the final video, will be my summary of my likes and dislikes. What do I like about this thing? What do I dislike about it? Do I recommend it? Should you spend $700 on this unit? It's the most expensive one in its class. Is it worth the money? What do I really think? Would I recommend it to you over all the other ones that I've tested on this channel? Come back for the next video and check that out. So make sure, again, you go to homerecordingmadeeasy.com, get that free mixing course. Okay, it's $100. Take it, it's free. You're gonna learn a ton. I don't care how long you've been mixing, whether you're just starting or whether you've been mixing for 5 years, you will learn something from that course, I guarantee it. After you take that course, if you dig Uncle Dave's style of teaching, and you want to take one of my other courses on my website, I want to give you a 25% discount coupon code. That coupon code is YouTube25. Put that in at checkout. It'll take 25% off any training course on the website. So thank you so much for taking a look at the SSL UF1 with me today. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this product. And if you have any other questions about this product for me, I'll be glad to answer them. And until the next video, I've been Dave with homerecordingmadeeasy.com. Thanks so much for watching me, everybody. And I'll see you in the next video.